Hey, good afternoon and happy Monday. This is Joe Hoft, and it's 1 o'clock Eastern here in April, the second week in April. Today's April 7th, and happy you're here. We've got so much to talk about. I had one heck of a weekend. I just arrived home actually. Flights delayed. I'd spend the night in Charlotte. Got home this morning instead of last night. The joys of travel. How about it? And just wiped after all that. And plus, just had an incredible weekend. So we're going to talk about that today. We're going to talk about what's going on. A big, huge story that we put out on Friday that I've been hinting at for some time, and the repercussions of that, and um, and then what's going on in the world, what's going on with the markets, etc. And thank God for President Trump and Elon Musk and what he's doing. What they're doing is just amazing. So just more courage and than any politician ever. And he's got the American people totally behind him. Totally. And these Dems, the only people that follow the Dems are the ones that get paid. And we'll be showing a little bit of that if we have time. And those that just are just idiots that just follow liars. That's all there is to it. So anyways, it's sad. It's really, really sad. Had some real overall observations this week, and maybe I could just bring up and remind you, probably for the last time, we'll see that I was at this USA event over the weekend in St. Louis, United Sovereign Americans. That was Marley Hornick and Harry Hari, and they put together an incredible event. Really smart stuff is what I thought. Fantastic. And a lot of discussions on the Constitution and how we fight this massive election fraud that's been going on now for some time, really, maybe a couple decades. But it's reached a crescendo where it's just so broken. And it was an honor to be there and to talk about, my background, my three books on the Steel volumes one, two, and three. And I hope later this week I could get a copy of my talk there and we could share that even on the show here. That would be great. I thought it went really well. My brother Jim showed from the Gateway Pundit, and he came up and shared a few words. And of course, Hari and Marley Hornick were just knocking it out of the park. So it was a real honor to be there. I've got good family and friends there in St. Louis as well. So my own stomping grounds. It was a really a great time. So really happy to be there. I met an individual I've chatted with in the past. A couple of people I hadn't had a chance to meet before. Lauren's one. Lauren, if you're listening, hat tip to you, and thank you for all your support. And what a great time. So the it was just such a great fit for me to be there with Marley and Harry, with this group of people, large group that was there to learn about how they can help save their elections in their states. They filed a number of lawsuits. They're not getting the traction that they wanted on them, and they're going to keep doing more. And because we've got to fight for this country, I think that was my message. The awakening that I've had over the past few weeks is just that this country is communist in some places now. Places like California, there's no election. There's no election. You do what they say. People aren't being killed on a mass scale yet, but it's close. And so that's why I'm a big fan of what they're doing with that new California state movement. It just what else do you do? You've got to create a new state. There is a precedence. It's West Virginia and during the Civil War. And so, what do you do when you don't have any borders, you don't have any elections, and the people, and you don't have safety and security? What do you do? Think about that. And if you want to do it legally, you do what they do it out there, the way they do it. So. This epiphany of sorts. It's kind of how things come, and then slowly, all of a sudden, one day you're like, wow. And that's what I'm unfortunately seeing today. It's like we are facing a communist takeover. We are seeing a mass evil attack this country. We have been given about a year, maybe more, maybe less, to save this country. And anybody who stands up and shares the truth, well, then you're a target. You're going to be a target because the truth is the enemy of evil, and the truth equals God in all ways as well. And so they hate the truth, and any truth tellers, my God, and they will go after you. They will punish you. They will do whatever they have to, throw you in prison. This is what they do. This is what the look at what the fascists did, and then they will gaslight you and call you the fascist. That's what these monsters do too. It's just unbelievable. They pay people to go to their rallies. We may show some of that. They lie when they make statements. It's all a lie. This is total fascism that we're up against now. The Democrat Party is so disgustingly evil. And quite frankly, a huge percent of the Republican Party is as well. They are not letting the American people do what we need to do to bring back the freedoms and justice that we need in this country today. And a big stink this weekend as well about this guy that's been hired by the DOJ and FBI now, a top job in DC. It's like, what's this guy doing there? People are saying this guy's nasty. He was out there hammering on the January Sixers. Why is he being promoted by Cash Patel? So some bizarre stuff that we and Dan Bongino saying, well, hang in there. We've got this thing figured out. It's going to take time, but in a couple weeks, we're going to show you, what we're doing or whatever. Let's pray and that God's with them because that FBI and DOJ should have been shut down. As a matter of fact, I had Chris Farrell on this show, who's with Tom Fitton and his group. Years ago, he was on with I think it was Hannity or somebody, where maybe it was the Fox Business, where he said we need to shut down the FBI. Shut it down now. It's too corrupt. You've got to shut it down. That was 6 years ago, maybe seven. He was absolutely right. That's exactly what we need to do today. It's gotten worse. So I don't know what gamemanship we're doing right now. We need to fire some of these monsters, imprison many of them, and let's start getting this country right. Because if and General Flynn said this over the weekend, I wrote about this, joehawk.com. Hey, if we don't bring justice back to this country, and that means arrest and imprison the criminals that attempted the coup d'etat against the United States, that are traitors like the Bidens that are making millions and billions probably off of this country. Imprison the bad people and hold them accountable. If we don't do that, we don't have a justice system. And the way that we can change things is through elections. But if they're going to steal those, like every fascist regime has in world history, we better stand up now. We got a lot of work to do. Wisconsin was just maybe a heads up, but a lot going on there. So anyways, that's probably a nice segue into the big story that came out Friday. It was at joehoff.com. It was a piece that I worked on with Harry Hari and Marley Hornick. It was about California and specifically Orange County. And here it is. This piece has gotten a ton of traction over the weekend. We put it up Friday. You can read the title there. It's a breaking exclusive. Shocking report results indicate that 1/5 of the voters in the 2024 election in Orange County, California, were non-citizens, invalid, or phantom voters, meaning 1 out of 5 people is not a valid voter, should never have voted in that election. By the way, that's the picture there that the Orange County group put together to send to a grand jury and get a grand jury report from them saying everything was great. Never seen such a thing in my life. It's the most bizarre thing. And so that's the picture from Orange County itself. Anyways, we've been working on this piece for weeks, and if not longer, and we finally were able to get it out this weekend, and it took off. The story is, and I can tell some of this, um, is that we knew if you go to the bottom of the article, Chris, down at the bottom, there's some more on Orange County 2024 election. Go down there. We started following Orange County. You guys know it. I've been talking about Orange County since the election in November. A couple days after the election, I was calling an alarm. People had out there notified me that hey, we need some people there to help us in Orange County. There's still counting going on, and ballots need to be cured. And I put it up, Gateway Pundit put it up, and then President Trump retruthed it actually. and that went viral that evening, Friday after the election of 2024, that November. There was a water main, or not. Oh, I'm sorry. There was a fire, not alarm. Sorry, it was a bomb threat. What it was. My God, I'm tired. Anyways, the bomb threat occurred, and we still don't know what happened, who did it, or is anybody arrested? Nothing. But that evening, and we actually got videotape from that evening. Didn't look like anybody was too upset about it. And so that was something. Then we learned that there was 300,000 more ballots issued in the county in 2024 than there were people on the voter roll. They have 1.8 million people on their voter roll, yet 2.1 million people received ballots. And they come up with these answers. Oh, well, that's people that came in. They got two ballots, and we checked to make sure they didn't double vote. We're supposed to trust these people. It's a joke. It is a joke. There's no transparency. We offered to do an audit. I did myself. I sent an email to the county saying, hey, be happy to look at voter rolls, chain of custody, and machines. They said, well, you can't look at the machines. If you touch them, we'd have to buy new ones, which is this scam lie created by the liars on the left. You wouldn't have to create a new machine or buy a new machine if somebody touched it. That's called a lie. That is insanity. And this is what these people do. They lie all the time. And the problem is they don't want us to see how absolutely non-secure these systems are. Like we found in Georgia, it's the same system around the world pretty much that use these machines. They should not be used. They cannot be used in order to certify an election. And that was the thesis behind my books on the election. I shared that this weekend, and it ties so well with United Sovereign Americans because they're saying basically the same thing. Look at all this. These elections can't be certified. And those that do certify it, their position is need to be held accountable. The individuals need to be held accountable. They are breaking our civil rights. And I couldn't agree more. I couldn't agree more. And so, anyways, in Orange County, we found all sorts of stuff. We offered to do an audit. They said no. And I remember even in the response, they said, "Well, I'm sure you feel bad about this." Well, I actually mentioned this week, and no, didn't feel too bad because I already had the data. That's how you do an audit. You get the data, and I had it, and legally. And so, no, we didn't feel too upset about that. And so we started to do our own work. We dug into this. We made sure we had everything, all the T's crossed and I's dotted, make sure everything was legitimate about the data as well as about our access to it and who had access, etc. And we did a study. And our study came out. And if you see at the top, our study is basically getting back to it. 1 out of 5 citizens are not out of 5 voters in Orange County, so 1.4 million people voted. Out of that, we've determined that roughly 1/5 we don't even know who they are. We can't validate them. We can't validate them as citizens in cases. They have the wrong addresses. In this piece, we say if when we extrapolate our sample to the population as a whole, which we used to do all the time in the corporate world and in statistics, it would be roughly the equivalent of 74,000 voters that were non-citizens per our study, 86,000 voters that didn't live at the address they were reported at, 61,000 voters who didn't have a Social Security number. So we got some people with Social Security numbers that shouldn't have them, others that we don't have Social Security numbers and they need to have them. So this is 61,000 there. And then there was just 77,000 ballots counted that cannot be reconciled with any voter at all. There's no associated voter on 77,000 ballots. In total, it was about almost 300,000 ballots in that county, roughly, which is 1 out of 5, 21%, 1 out of 5. It's shocking. It's shocking. It makes you want to cry. What's going on here? In that county, they gave 5 out of the 6 seats for the U.S. House that were being voted on in that huge county, the 6th largest county in America. They gave 5 out of 6 to the Democrats. It's a red county. It's always been a red county until the California instituted drop boxes and ballot harvesting. So you could drop 100 in there. It's legal. You don't have to prove where you got them. You just throw them in there, no problem, walk away. Wipe your hands clean. This is California. This is their election process. It's a total sham. And Orange County is just a microcosm of what's going on in California as a whole, and likely what's going on in Oregon and Washington and Colorado and New Mexico and all these, and New York and Illinois and all these states that have been taken over by the monsters from the left who lie about everything, who tell you lies every day. And there's some shocking stuff that we're seeing from the left now. Wait, they are so mad at us and Elon Musk and Trump for looking into where's the money going, because it's all fraud, $1 trillion of fraud going to these monsters led by the some regime. We don't know who's the top guy here. Is it the World Economic Forum? Is it China? Who is it? Barack Obama? Who is it? But it's not legitimate, and they're destroying our country like they did with the open border, broken elections. It's unbelievable. So this piece was huge, and very proud of it. And we talked about it over the weekend as well. The numbers behind it, 500,000 people at least have viewed this on Twitter. So it was quite the piece. Um, I did a corresponding little follow up on Twitter just to Doge leadership to show them that hey, we're happy to help you in any way we can. And that was a piece that I put up, little short tweet afterwards addressed to Doge. That's getting thousands of views. And then what happened late, I believe it was late Friday night or Saturday night, late Saturday night, Elon Musk retweeted the post. And there's Elon. And if you go up, Chris, I think you'll be able to see it if you pulled it up there. Yeah, there it is. So there's the post, and Elon he does a retweet. So that's pretty exciting. Haven't had Elon share one of my posts before, so that was cool. Lara Logan yesterday too shared a piece on this article. Lara Logan, Lara has been, I butcher some people's names. I apologize so much. But she's saying, Joe Hoft and his team have uncovered unbelievable, fraud in Orange County. We can help with this Wisconsin too. Thanks, Laura. You're the best, and thank you for all your support. And yeah, we'd love to help. There's so much. We've got some of the sharpest guys you've ever met. I know these Doge guys are sharp. We've got people that are sharp and have been dealing with this stuff for years now. We'd love to help in any way we can. Want them to know that if you know Elon, let them know, hey, we're ready to roll. We're ready to help you. Um, on the article itself, we did get a response from the registrar of voters in Orange County, a man by the name of Bob Page. He says in the comments section to the article, hey, Joe, feel free to send us your study and I guess what's in it, and we'd be happy to look through it. Basically, we'll look through it. So I thought about this on the flight home this morning. You know, if you were a manufacturer of soda, let's say, or beer or water, whatever, and your customers are saying, "Hey, one out of six cans in this six pack of yours, and maybe two sometimes, two cans out of the six pack are empty. There's no liquid in the can." Well, you're not gonna say, okay, send us your study and we'll look into it. Okay? Do you know how long you're gonna have customers after that? First of all, anybody sees that once, one can, there's an issue here. How did this ever get out where it's empty or something in it? We've seen some things like this in the past. Very big deal. But one out of every six cans? I mean, this is total destruction. It shows total lack of controls. It's terrible, and yet this is how it's going to be dressed. Well, we'll take a look at your study. Everything's fine. Else, everything's fine. Just don't worry. We'll take a look at your study. Of course, the only thing would be to pick away at it and say, "Oh, you didn't dot this T or dot this I or cross this T, and therefore it's just not legit. Sorry, sorry. That isn't how we do things in the real world. In the real world, when there's an issue, you address it. You don't lie about it. You don't, say, well, we'll take a look and we'll get back to you. I mean, very unsuccessful companies do that, but not the successful ones. Remember reading In Search of Excellence years ago, and the best companies are the ones that stand up and do those things that we all love the most. So I'm going to share. I kind of was mentioning this. A couple quick tweets, a couple short videos about this weekend, and this is the left. This is what we're supposed to believe when they have all these people show up at these events. Well, they're all bussed in. So here's one video showing some of these people that are being bussed in. Take a look.
Never be defeated. The people united will never be defeated.
The people united will never be defeated.
The people united will never be defeated.
Free, free Palestine.
Free, free Palestine.
Long live Palestine.
Long live Palestine.
From the river to the sea.
From the river to the sea.
Palestine will be free.
Palestine will be free.
Mm. So that was a group singing Free Palestine that was getting bussed to one of the events in the country, getting paid for. We understand many of these people are getting paid 25 bucks an hour. And so that's how the left puts rallies together. They pay people. And fortunately, we're starting to cut away at some of those funds, and we couldn't happen at a better time. But that is one thing that's happening is these fake outrages against Trump for basically and Doge for looking into the crimes and finding crimes. That's an incredible thing. We should be praising it, celebrating it. $1 trillion in fraud. Listen how the Democrat leadership talks about it. One final clip here. Take a look.
I am angry today. I am angry what I saw that president of the United States who ran and had people vote for him because he said he was going to cut their costs. He was going to make sure they had a chance at the American dream, has come in with an unelected richest man on earth and taken a chainsaw to everything we care about, everything the American people put their trust in him to do. It is a betrayal. It is a betrayal. So let's not talk about decorum when the plot is exposed and reiterated every single day. You take people's health care, you take our veterans' benefits, you take funding for our public schools, and you do it all of it, to give a tax cut to the very wealthiest people who won't even notice it, but whose greed knows no bounds. Amen.
Man, somebody says at the end there, what a lie. What an absolute liar. This is the platform of the Democrats today. Bust people in for make-believe rallies. I saw one of these tweets over the weekend too. One guy says, "Oh, they're saying it's a big crowd here. It's 7,000 people with iPhones that we can find, and a huge percentage of them, like a huge percent, have been at 5 of Kamala's rallies too, where she was bussing people in because nobody's showing up for this stuff. Nobody wants these lies." And this lady says we're taking away health care and VA benefits and all this other stuff. It's a lie. It's a total lie. Elon Musk is doing this stuff for free. He's brought in experts to look at this stuff. It's outrageous what the Democrats say. But she really kind of dropped the bomb and said it all. She says they're taking a chainsaw to everything we care about. Well, she's right. You're right. He's taken away the fraudulent money that you're stealing from the American taxpayers. And that's what you care about. And we care about freedom and transparency and a government that's spending our money wisely, not giving it away to crooks like you. So I tell you what, we got lots to talk about. We got somebody coming up here who is well knowledgeable on so many areas. We've had him here before. But before we go to break, I want to mention one thing and talk to you about something I've talked about for the last few weeks anyways. It's about the Oxford Group, and they have this vehicle now. They're collecting mailbox money through oil royalties, and you can as well. Talking about a passive residual income. You can get involved with investments of as little as $25 to get started. All you need is a brokerage account. All you have to do, go out, check out hoftoilboom.com, HOFTOILBOOM.com, and you can learn more about this. It's not about buying oil stocks. It's about buying or the royalties. That's hard for me to say today itself. So anyways, take a look at that. We're going to talk about it here briefly in the break. One of the advertisers, make note, and then we'll be back with the great L. Todd Wood right after this. Hi, this is Joe Hoft. Are you looking for monthly income without the risk of stocks? Here's something you won't hear about on CNBC. There's a unique way to collect royalties directly from America's most productive oil fields. No exploring, drilling, or operational headaches. You simply collect checks month after month. The best part? You can get started with just $25 through any brokerage account. The Oxford Club's chief income strategist, Mark Lechtenfeld, breaks down what he believes is the #1 royalty play for 2025. Visit hoftoilboom.com now to learn more. That's hoftoilboom.com, HOFTOILBOOM.com. Stop buying oil stocks and start collecting oil royalty checks now instead.
In every thread, in every stitch, Honor-Bound USA weaves the fabric of the American spirit. It's not just apparel, it's a testament to God, family, and country. At Honor-Bound USA, we're a family of patriots who put our faith, family, and America first. When you visit our website, you'll find a line of products that embody our commitment to pray, stand, speak, and act. As the official site for the Untamed podcast, all of our products proclaim speaking the truth with courage. We also have the powerful documentary from Professor David Clements, Let My People Go. Identify yourself as one of the few who are willing to stand for what they believe in. Join the Honor-Bound USA family today. Wear it as a badge of honor, commitment to the values that shape us, and a pledge to the bright future we will build together. Because when you're honor-bound, you're not just wearing a brand, you're embodying a lifestyle.
Hi, I'm Joe, Supreme Leader of DCF. What is DCF, you ask? We're the best damn sandwich shop in the universe. Do we sell hoagies? Well, we're DCF, and the F doesn't stand for hoagies. We got 9mm sandwiches, we got beastly baguettes, and we toast buns like no other. Looking for training on bun safety? We got you covered, and our ranges are the best place to test out your new Not sandwich. So get your buns out, cause the sun's out, and let's party! We're not actually a sandwich shop.
Hey, we're back here on the Joe Hoff Show, and as I mentioned right before the break, and we'll get right into it, good friend L. Todd Wood is with us. L. Todd Wood, welcome to the Joe Hoff Show. Thanks for being here.
Joe, one of my favorite shows, man. Thanks. I was excited when Mermaid called me yesterday. So
Awesome. Yeah. Well, she's a pretty girl too, so
yeah. Well, there's that too. Yeah.
But she's great. She does great work for us, and so glad you can make it. Yeah, I was busy in transit trying to get back here to Florida from the Midwest. Been stuck in Charlotte a couple times over the last year, so that's what happened last night. But made it, and here we are. So tell us a little bit about yourself and the organizations that you've put together, because it's pretty impressive what you've done.
Thank you. Todd Wood. I went to the Air Force Academy quick. I flew special operations helicopters, flew SEAL Team 6 and Delta around for about 8 years. Then I went to Wall Street for almost 20, traded emerging market debt. And then I left the street in 2011 and started traveling around Eastern Europe because I had studied Russian at the academy, and started writing for different papers. And John Solomon called me at the Washington Times and said, "Hey, come write for us." So I did that for 4 or 5 years, well, 3 or 4 years, and then wrote a column on Eastern Europe called Behind the Curtain in the Times. And then I just realized that nobody in the US or the West knew anything about what was happening there. So I decided to start my own media company and really develop sources on the ground. And, some of those were in Ukraine and still are to this day. Russia, Moldova, Poland, the Caucasus, all are over there, Middle East. And we just started developing a news platform. It's turned into cdm.press. We have 13 digital platforms around the world, from Eastern Europe to the Middle East to the Balkans to the US, 7 local papers, military channel, Hispanic channel. And we're growing. We want to be the new Reuters, a global, wire service without the spin. And, all the work we did in Ukraine, I ended up being right on all of it, although we were deplatformed massively in 21-20. And censored and repressed and firebombed and, debanked and all of it. But, I ended up testifying in front of the House Oversight Committee attorneys and with all the information we had in Ukraine. And we were right. So we stood the course, and now we have a lot of credibility.
That's incredible. You sent me something overnight.
Mm-hmm.
It's related to that, I believe. It's a New York Times article or something where they're
Well,
now
one of the things, I was literally sitting looking through Hunter Biden's laptop at an undisclosed location back in August or October of 2020, and I come across all these emails from Hunter to different people in the State Department about using the U.S. ambassador in Italy to close private business deals for the Bidens in Italy. So I put that out in 2020, and that's one of the reasons we were all deplatformed, because of a lot of the stuff we had found. And lo and behold, 5 years later, the New York Times comes out with the same article this week, saying, "Wow, look what we found." And I just laughed. I mean, it's a limited hangout. Obviously, they're just trying to slow roll the information out that everybody's known for years. But I tell people, if you want to know what's going to happen, what's going on days, hours, weeks, months, sometimes years ahead of time, check us out, put us in your scan, and we'll make you the smart guy around the water cooler.
That's cool. That's cdmedia.com. Is that right?
It's actually cdm.press. We're branding CDM.
Okay,
CD
great.
Media was a little confusing for people, so we're just branding CDM, like ABC, that kind of.
Press.
cdm.press is the main URL.
Cool.
cdm.press.
Yeah, that's great. No, that's great. You guys do great work. I've seen. I can remember going back. Well, the election 2020, you guys did great work. Saw some great pieces coming out of there. You've done great work with COVID, et cetera.
Yes,
and I saw you on Bannon a number of times.
Yeah, we're on Bannon. I've been on Tucker, and I did an hour with him on Fox Nation. I've actually been on his show 4 or 5 times. So we're continuing to. And I met your brother at the Iranian resistance event in Paris, I think in 2019.
Wow.
He was there. So we're pretty involved in a lot of different areas. We just got to get bigger. So if people could just put us in their scan, we'd appreciate it.
By the way, that event in Paris, I think he took my daughter with him, his niece, and she had a great time. She just had a ball.
Sure.
Got her picture with Rudy. Got her picture with Newt Gingrich. She's just, and met some people. Loved the atmosphere, everything. But wasn't there a bomb that went off there?
Yeah, we didn't know about it till afterwards, but they arrested a couple with a bomb in the car, and they ended up tracing it back to the Iranian consulate or embassy, I think, in Brussels, and they ended up deporting the guy who was planning it. So it was a MOIS, the Ministry of Intelligence, the Iranians, targeting the resistance, and they could have killed a lot of people.
Wow.
So
is that some of your background too, in intel at all, or no?
Well, I was in special operations, so my job was to get SEAL Team 6 and Delta or the Rangers or whoever we were working with, CIA or whatever, to get them in and out of bad areas. Helicopter guy, so long range insertion extraction. So I have a lot of friends still in that business. One of them, in fact, Matt Lohmeyer, who was just appointed not confirmed yet, to the Undersecretary of the Air Force. He's the guy, the Space Force guy that got canned because he wrote the book on Marxism in the military, and they got rid of him immediately. But we're the ones that did the story on that, got him fired. So I called him. I saw him down at Mar-a-Lago a couple of weeks ago. And I said, "Hey, man, you can do another interview?" And he's like, "I don't want to get fired again, so let me get confirmed first." So, but yeah, we're pretty connected. We have a lot of sources. That's the thing, a lot of people go and they regurgitate Telegram or whatever, but we literally have people on the ground all over all night long. I don't sleep. So I just, my team is always getting information from, whether it be Tel Aviv or, Kiev or Donbass or whatever.
Yeah. And speaking about Kiev, you lived there for a while, right?
I've spent probably well over a year there. I was during the invasion. I was there. I ended up walking across the Moldovan border. My son, I didn't think Putin would go past Donbass, but I get a call. So I was at the Hotel Ukraine in Maidan in the big square downtown, and my son calls me he's a West Point grad. He's like, "Dad, strategic airstrikes coming in. You got to get out." So I ended up going. I had my team on the ground. I called my guys, and they're like, "We'll pick you up." And we just drove west. We had weapons in the car, and there was marauders pulling people out of the cars on the highway because it was a mess. Everybody's trying to leave. And we drove west for a day and a half or so, and then got to Venetia, and then they took me to the Moldovan border, and I just walked across. And then, interesting thing, the people that met me on the other side, they saw me come across. They came up to me, young girls, and they said, "Hey, can we help you?" I'm like, "Well, okay, yeah, maybe. I need a ride to the airport or something." And they were Russian Baptists, and they ended up getting me to the Romanian airport. I forget the name of the town in Western Romania, but I flew back to Europe and then back to the States. But fascinating. I mean, I love Ukraine. I love the people. I had a Ukrainian refugee family in my house for 6 months after the start of the war, just because they were really good to me. And, but I don't agree with the war. I think the U.S. pushed the war. They want the war. I think the war needs to end. It's just a bunch of killing. And we've got a great piece up on armedforces.press, our military channel right now, from Pete Blaber, former Delta Force colleague of mine, who wrote a really insightful piece. He's done many, but this one on just why the war needs to end. So people could check that out. It's really good. It's going all over the net right now.
Wow, that's fantastic. Yeah, but so when you say the U.S. wanted people in, who in particular in the U.S.?
Victoria Nuland, the whole deep state, Tony Blinken and all that crowd, they just really, they wanted a war. They knew, I mean, where we went in and then into Kursk when the Ukrainians, invaded Russia proper a year or so ago. That is the exact same area that the Nazis used up through the Ukraine, through Donbass. So all it did was instigate a massive Russian nationalism in country, and their recruiting levels went way up. I mean, Russian people they like to criticize their leaders, but when you threaten the country, then they kind of band together. And suffering is an art form, and so they don't mind suffering to save their country, and we pushed that. Kamala Harris was in Brussels, I think, a week before the invasion, saying Ukraine's going to be part of NATO. Well, Putin can't allow that; he'd lose power. So they knew that, and I think they enabled and pushed a war, trying to move NATO all the way to their borders. And I don't agree with the invasion, but I don't think he should have done it. But you have to understand why he did it. That's what I tell people. You don't have to agree with him, but you got to understand the history and why they did that.
Yeah, you mentioned, so Kursk is the area that was the area that Ukraine
invaded Russia about a year ago with some of their best troops, and they lost. We're estimating 75,000 guys were killed. And thousands.
Is that the group? Are they still surrounded right now?
They're it's like a rump of what they actually had. They still have one connection, but yes, that's what Trump was talking about. And they're
10,000 left or something.
Yeah, and thousands and thousands of pieces of equipment, tanks, artillery, APCs, all of it. I mean, just massive failure. And we had on my show this morning, we have a morning news show at 10, and I had this Delta Force guy on, and we were talking about these generals who last week were in front of the Senate Armed Services Committee, and still trying to justify the war. And they were running this war out of Germany down to having videos on soldiers' helmets telling them where to go on the battlefield. These are four-star generals trying to micromanage the war. So we were completely running this whole thing the whole time. They were just lying. So it's there needs to be a lot of accountability for the complete screw up this was.
Mm. And yeah, Trump said these guys are surrounded. I mean, Russia could just wipe them out.
They could, and actually legally they could have targeted Germany because of they were running the war out of there. So Putin, I'm not a fan of Putin. He kills journalists, he kills his opposition too, but he was legally able to target Germany, and if he wanted to. But I think he's shown a lot of restraint in not doing that because I think he wants
I think
peace
so too.
too.
I think so
So,
too.
so
I think he was glad to see Trump win. He thinks
oh,
he
for
can
sure.
see this things. Well, people are dying, and one of the most disgusting comments that I saw by any
Mm,
politician, uh, really anywhere, maybe ever, was Lindsey Graham was there not long
mhm,
ago since Trump's win. He goes over there and he's talking to Zelensky. He's on stage with him. He says, "This is my favorite politician," and he
yeah.
goes, "And we haven't lost one soldier on this in this war." And I'm
What?
sitting here thinking that's what Lindsey Graham said, talking about
Oh, you mean
U.S. soldiers.
Americans? Yeah, that's a lie.
But to me, well, and oh, that's something.
Mm,
But it was disgusting, is what it was. What it
yeah,
said is, I don't give a damn about 500,000 Russian kids or half a
exactly.
million Ukrainian kids. We didn't lose one, and man, we've done really well. My pocketbooks, I bet you the sentence he's not saying is my pocketbooks are they're full because of this. You
Yeah,
know, I
they're
thought
cool
that
with.
was so cold-hearted.
Oh, I agree. I mean, it's dishonorable. I mean, they're cool with fighting to the last Ukrainian. I mean, on both sides, these kids are conscripted on both sides. So they're forced to go kill each other. They don't want to be there, and then they're killing them. It's just a meat grinder. It needs to end.
Mm. Russia too is getting hammered pretty good, or no? Because I
Oh
always
yeah, they've
found that
lost a lot of
because
they
of the
both
U.S.
sides have lost a lot of people.
Mm.
Continue to every day, thousands. It's I don't want American boys and girls over there. They should not be there, and that's been my mission. We're doing a tour around the country trying to talk and tell people the truth so that we don't send our forces over there.
Wow, wow, yeah, it's pretty frightening. So, what do you think of Zelensky and his actions since Trump came on board?
He's not working for the people of Ukraine. He's working for somebody else, whatever globalist puppet master is pulling his strings, and he is lying every chance he gets. I mean, he's being told what to do. Uh, he's not Churchill. He's just an actor. He's just
Yeah.
doing what he's told to do, and he doesn't give a damn about his own people. He's destroying the Christian church in Ukraine, the Orthodox Church. So that's pretty evil just in itself. You had I've been down in these catacombs under the monastery in Kiev, and you go down there, they're 1,000 years old, and you have all these saints and monks buried under there, and their skeletons are right there, and you walk among them, and it's for the Ukrainians, it's very reverent. It's their history. They're all baptized in this church, and Zelensky is like disturbing the relics. He's banning the churches. He's stealing the churches, burning the churches, putting priests in jail, beating priests. You have congregations meeting in the woods so that they can have church on Sundays. It's really bad what they're doing, and we've reported on it a lot. We've had the attorney Bob Amsterdam for the Ukrainian Orthodox Church on many times, and it's just horrific.
Uh, I didn't know all that. I knew he
Mm,
shut down the churches. I knew he shut down any election. Well, that was a piece too that came out here recently. That Trump's
mhm.
got an argument. Trump came out. Somebody said this. I can't remember who said it, where I read it, but it was like Trump comes out and says, "Well, Zelensky, what did he say? He's a tyrant. He's not
He's a
even a
dictator.
president."
He's not elected.
Yeah, yeah.
His
Somebody
mandate.
said that's it. He's not
Yeah,
elected. This guy points out Trump, what he said then, this guy, Zelensky, there was no election. Their
yeah.
constitution says there's supposed to be an election. There wasn't. So he's not rightfully there. And this guy says that's when the EU freaked out because they have all this agreements, loans with him, and Trump's
Hmm.
coming in and wanting to take away these minerals as
Hmm.
part of the part of the settlement process. And then there was a rumor then that days before that, before Trump's inauguration, that the EU or the UK signed an agreement with Zelensky for those mineral rights, and they're not telling anybody about it. You heard that or no?
I have not heard that, but I wouldn't doubt it at all. I mean, MI6 has been behind a lot of this, the UK government. And they kept it, it was Boris Johnson who went over and kept the war going when they were trying to make peace in 22, along with Biden. But I don't trust them at all, and I wouldn't doubt that at all. But he's not elected. His mandate ran out a year ago. The parliament's not even legitimate. So you have people making decisions, and that's Putin's deal. Like, who am I going to negotiate with? They're not even a legitimately elected government. So who do I talk to? So he's only talking to Trump.
Yeah.
So
Which makes sense. And Trump's got the same dilemma, doesn't he?
yeah. So I think Zelensky's days are numbered. We'll see. I don't know how it's going to play out, but I'm hopeful that the war will end. And I think you're seeing with the Iranians. I think the Russians are helping solve the Iranian problem right now, kind of back channel. And I think that's what part of all this is a piece, right? It's all they're working to help Trump with that problem, and also the Middle East, and so I'm hopeful there'll be like a grand deal in the not so far off future on all of this stuff.
I tell you, that's amazing stuff. He's a deal maker, and we're seeing this behind the scenes. He's not going to just say, "Okay, we're going to end this war." Wait a minute, we've blown $5 billion. We haven't. Joe Biden did, and
Oh
of
yeah.
American money. We don't know how much has made it back here to the hands of the politicians. I wonder if that's what Trump's talking about the other day when he says, "You won't believe what we found next." It's got
Oh
to
yeah.
be, lots of money going to these corrupt politicians, like I believe Lindsey Graham as well as
Oh
many
yeah.
Democrats. Everybody who this was I gave a talk this weekend. I'm talking about elections, and my background's audit. It's
Hmm.
finance audit. I oversaw big, huge blocks of business in those different functional areas, and it's like this stuff's not certifiable. Nobody would sign off on this. No certified auditor would ever sign off on these elections, and that's similar like what's going on here. It's just what's I don't know. I'm just what who could sign off on all this stuff, etc. It's just
Well, you would have a field day over there because I was there in 2019, and I was sitting in one of my sources' offices with some prosecutors who were in the prosecution office in the Ukrainian government in Kiev, and they were showing me these stacks of papers that they'd taken out because the government was going to burn them. It was all the evidence of all the corruption. And one of them was a chart which we actually published, which showed like a circular money laundering ring where the U.S. government would send aid to the central bank. The central bank would sell bonds, buy bonds, and sell them to a broker dealer that they were part of. The broker dealer, and they would sell them at a discount, and the broker dealer would sell them back at par at full value, and they just pocket the difference. And this was like a big circle thing. And then you have a lot of that money coming back to all U.S. or almost all U.S. politicians in the Act Blue, even when red money laundering stuff, the smurfing.
mm,
That's where a lot of that money's coming from.
mhm.
So
I think
it's
well
just a
that
big
that makes
circle.
sense. Yeah,
So
yeah. And I was thinking FTX too when that the
yeah,
guy went down, and we had evidence that he was that Ukraine was investing in crypto through FTX. I was like,
oh yeah,
was that how they moved the money back to the U.S. to the politicians through crypto? Exchange it a couple times, different cryptocurrencies. You never see it. Then at the
yeah.
end, exchange it back to U.S. dollars here in the States, and somebody's gotten rich.
A
Uh,
lot
you
of
know,
people have gotten very rich. Yeah.
yeah. Yeah, Tucker says that he went someplace in the Alps, and the richest people there were the Ukrainians.
Oh
You
yeah,
know,
yeah. I think he said they're spending $1 million a day, something like that. I mean, when you've got $100 billion, it doesn't really matter, right?
right.
So it's just amazing. But yeah, I think all this is going to come out. We're working hard to put it out as you are, as quick as we can, and I think the scales are falling off the public's eyes, and they're starting to see a lot of this stuff. I hope.
So
The
yeah,
thing that's happening now is the tariffs. This tariff regime is working, and we got to have Trump's back, and all this.
amen, amen, 100%. He makes so much sense. You heard him over the weekend say, well, basically the EU was put together to screw America.
Mm-hmm. Oh, for sure. Yeah. Yeah. That's big, right?
Yeah, it's a big statement. Yeah, but he makes those statements like, wow. But he's right, isn't he?
Totally. And I'm looking forward to the golden age. What about you?
Yeah, right, right. Well, we're in it right now, really. We
We
really
are.
are, thankfully. And that was the big thing too this weekend as we talk about election. Thank God, the miracle, stand up, fight, fight, fight. This phrase that'll go down in world history. Fight,
For
fight,
sure.
fight. And we're living in history right now, historic times, but it's brutal. It's brutal when you
Oh,
talk
it
about
is.
the
It's difficult. It's difficult. Did you see the Newsmax IPO though? People really want free media, that they can trust, Joe.
was that
It
right?
was
I
up,
didn't see that.
it went up
When
2,500% in 24 hours. That's
when
unheard
was
of, right?
this? When was
That's last
this?
week. Last week.
I was too busy to.
People are hungry for the truth. I'm telling you. And so free media like what we have is going to be the future for sure.
I think so too. And
Hmm.
we learned after the 20 after January 6th, and a year
Hmm.
later, the Rasmussen, who I think does great work, they
Hmm.
did a poll on the election. They said 62% of Americans, basically two-thirds, believe the election was stolen. They did another poll on the January 6th. They said 65% of Americans believe January 6th was a setup. And they're not getting that from the mainstream media. That's the thing.
No, they're not.
Mainstream media is telling them the absolute opposite. And yet 60, two-thirds of Americans are saying that's bullshit.
Yeah, totally.
It's total bullshit because as we lay out the truth, because we're honest people and we just keep laying it out, people they we have won. We have won. Me,
I
Gabriel
agree.
Pundit, all these
Mhm.
sites, we've won. And that's why they hate us. That's why they want to destroy us.
I want to see action on the election fraud, though, with the machines specifically and the vote by mail stuff. It really has to be
Oh
dealt
yeah.
with because there's a
Oh
lot of
yeah.
talk and smoke being blown. But we gotta, I want to hear Cash and Pam get in there and really go after this stuff. And maybe they are behind the scenes, and that will be great. But I haven't seen a
Mm.
lot yet, so
No, I
it.
know.
Really needs to happen.
I'm telling you, this weekend was a big issue too.
Hmm.
Speaking of that, I've been critical of Pam Bondi. It's like,
Hmm.
hey, we have names, we have actions that these people did from
Hmm.
for years now that are absolute crimes that are part of a treasonous in real insurrection.
Hmm.
Why are these people not behind bars now so they can't do any more damage like some of these people are still doing?
Yes.
And it drives me crazy. And then this weekend, there's this FBI guy that we're finding out got promoted, who was involved with January 6th call, and they arrest all these innocent people on January 6th. So
No, I didn't see that. Huh.
did you see that? That was so Cash is coming back, or top people in the FBI are saying, no, that's not true. This is a good guy. That didn't happen, blah, blah, blah. But the word on the street is, no, this guy, he's not a good guy. And yet the FBI's promoted him. Dan Bongino's coming out over the weekend saying, hey, hold tight. We're doing the right thing here. It's going to take a little time. Just give us some time. I like Dan a lot and Cash as well, but we don't, I'm concerned because we don't have a lot of time here.
No,
We've
we
got to
don't.
get some, and these people every day that you leave them out there to monkey around, you're allowing them to do more crimes and destroy this country even further. I want to see them behind bars.
For sure. There's a great meme going around the Gulf of no one's been arrested yet. So I, I love that. It makes me laugh every time I think about it.
It's true. Man, we're all like, arrest these sons of bitches. Jeez.
Yes.
You
Yes,
know,
exactly.
James
Exactly.
Comey. The list could go on and on. Comey,
Yeah,
these
for
people that
sure.
lied in front of Congress, everybody involved in the Russia collusion, Mueller, Obama, Brennan,
Hmm.
Clapper, Biden, Hillary. The list goes on and on. We know of their crimes, the people that were involved. It's all connected. And then the 2020 election. Actually, I was thinking about that. Wayne Allen Root, she was on the show, and he said that he thought the one thing President Trump could do for infamy would be to do an incredible investigation into 2020 and
Hmm.
prove that it was stolen. That would do so much to it, rather than just letting it linger with some books like mine for history buffs.
Hmm.
Why not do an investigation and prove it? The evidence is there.
I completely agree. That's what I mean. We got it. It's got to be, the executive order he put out was great, a great start. And if you literally read and use some of the stuff that's there in a literal fashion, you can do a lot of good. But nobody's talking about, the blank ballots in Florida. Just in August, we had a massive steal of an election across the Florida, landscape. So by vote by mail and fake ballots that the USPS was passing off, and it's just a mess. It has to be dealt with.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, it's something too. Whether it be
Hmm.
Missouri or Alabama or Georgia or Florida
Hmm.
or Texas
Hmm.
too.
Hmm.
There's leadership in these states that aren't really they're not really on our side, and we're seeing
Oh,
that over and over too.
agree.
Talked to people from around the country this weekend, and that's it. There's some real bad rhinos that are running some of these states. States, 80% are, pro-America, Republican,
Hmm.
conservative, love Trump, MAGA, and they're just the leadership isn't. And yeah, there's ways that they're trying to contain their power too. It's amazing. So,
Totally agree.
anyways, yeah. So, any final notes before we sign off here?
Just we're focused a lot on Eastern Europe, the Middle East, the tariff issue. We're trying to bring good economic information to people, so they understand why. Here's one: the U.S. has to refinance $7 trillion in the next few months. Why do you think Trump is allowing this market downdraft? Because he's got to get the 10-year bond down well below 4%, so he can refinance that debt. Because we can't do it at these levels because we can't afford it at 5%, on $7 trillion. It's got to get down another 100 basis points. So I think that's what he's focused on. That's a big deal. And people need to understand the reason that he's allowing this market, not collapse, but downdraft or whatever it is.
So smart. Yeah, and I think
Mhm.
it's gone down about 80 basis points already, I believe.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
So
So it's
almost a
got to get much
percent.
lower. I was a bond
Yeah.
guy, so I totally get that. Exactly.
Yeah.
You got to get the finance costs way down.
Well, and so was what's his name as Commerce Secretary? Lutnick?
Lutnick. Yeah.
Lutnick. Wasn't he
Yeah.
bonds? Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. I used to work for him for a while.
Oh,
Yeah.
really? Yeah,
Yeah.
wow. Great. He
Yeah.
seems like a great guy. You like him?
He's a hard ass guy, but that's fine. You know,
Mm-hmm.
it
Great.
is it
That's
is
what we
what it is.
want.
You get
That's what we want
results.
right now.
Yeah.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. Absolutely.
Hmm.
Well, El Todd, thank you so much for joining us.
Yeah, man.
Congratulations on everything. The new website now, CDM
Dot
dot, well,
press.
it's not the new, but you dot press is now the name. CDM
Yeah.
dot press.
CDM
So
dot press. Yes.
great. Way to go. Way to go with all you're doing. Keep it up.
Thanks, man.
And
Appreciate it.
thanks
Love
for
the
coming
show.
on board.
All right.
Appreciate
Take
it.
care. Bye.
Okay. Have a great day. And we'll be back tomorrow on the Joe Hoff Show with some great guests this week. Another great week ahead of us. Thanks for supporting us, and we'll see you then.